guys going to be able to expunge any grades of the lack of textbooks and the lack of resources that we've had? A lot of books aren't even available in the library that teachers and professors require you to read for their classes and courses. So I mean, I'm struggling because this is pretty much my last semester before transferring next fall, and instead of boosting my GPA with all the elective classes that I finally get to take after doing all my general ed, because I've been a BCC student when it was Vista. So if you guys know what Vista was, that was the old campus. But this is the first time I had problem with financial aid, and it's the first time I've seen my grades dwindle. So.
It's kind of quiet.
No.
They don't know an answer.
And not have it be counted as your appeal.
The question was, are people affected by this going to be given some consideration on their lower GPA?
Forgiveness papers will be created.
Okay, I can tell you this, but one of the things that we do in student services, I don't know what the district response is going to be with this, but you always have a right to appeal, okay? You always have a right to do that. There is an appeal process in place. The Vice President Poon and I are part of that process. So if you feel that you are for any reason not getting the grade that you felt you deserved, you always have a right to appeal. That is not taken out of the process.
The amount of people who drop out the school. The amount of people who drop out the school because they didn't have a financial aid. They already have a W on the death transcript. They don't even know about that. You guys, you sending letters to them too, because it should be one solution for them to at least come back to school and they try succeed in their lives. I'm hearing a lot of stories and not too many answers. Every time we
Students
ask
who
a
have
question.
W's on their transcripts have W's for several reasons. During this semester, financial aid may be one contributing factor or maybe the only contributing factor. That we wouldn't know because, as I mentioned before, every student is so different. If that student chooses to come back to college and start over again, that same student would also be eligible to go through the appeal process. And in that situation, they would explain their extenuating circumstances, what prevented them from making academic progress. There is a policy in place, and even though we are in a crisis, we cannot bypass that policy. Those are federal regulations from the Department of Education. So we still have to do that. But to accommodate students, we understand that this is a crisis. And Mr. Poon and Brenda have also mentioned that they do have the appeal process in place to accommodate students and to understand that part of the student's situation or life, whatever happened during that point in time.
Last year was passed a bill where to increase the amount of the financial aid for the students. To the students avoid taking loans. And today, what is the criteria to give the loans or give the Pell Grant for the students?
Well, what's the appeal? Remember, that's individual. It depends on your circumstances. And we look at your total record. We look at everything. And as she mentioned, that's per federal guidelines. We have to do that. We cannot bypass that, okay? But what we're telling you is that there is definitely already an established appeals process in place at this college. And if you appeal, we're going to try to get you through that appeal process ASAP. Now, the amount that you get of aid, I think you were asking about how much aid do you get or what did you get before? Once again, that's also based on factors. There are limits. There are limits. Noemi could probably tell you per semester what the limit is, or it's up to a maximum, but certainly it always takes into consideration your estimated family contribution.
And I think what Sylvia was saying is that if your income changes and you want to do an income appeal, if that
is because it was passed a bill to increase anyways the amount of financial aid for the students, because a lot of students take loans and they cannot pay the loan.
We can, if you're asking, can we increase your Pell amount?
No, was already a bill passed over there.
He's talking about legislation that was passed the amount of money that was available for financial aid for students. And
Yes.
Yes. Was
Okay,
this federal
whatever
or
that
state?
is, that is.
Federal.
That's what we're
Yeah,
using.
we have to use that. We don't just say, well, we're only gonna give our students X. That's not how it's done. It's based on the federal guidelines, whatever may be in place. Okay. Wendy has a question.
Okay, so,
Thank you.
I kind of just want like a base or kind of just to know kind of what's going on because I've had the same issues as obviously everybody else. Like I came in the beginning of the semester and I've gone to financial aid tons of times and every time I go there's some paper that I've turned in that they don't have. So one of my questions is where are our papers going? Because I've also turned in forms 3, 4, 5 times and they are still asking for the same forms. And second of all, how is it that financial aid has always worked so well and this year it's a mess? Like, what happened? I don't really know what happened because everybody tells me different things.
Bottom line, what happened is we changed over to a new software packaging program. That we have come to find out that software package is very difficult to work with. The colleges didn't have a say in the selection of that new package, but because we are a district, every college is subject to this software package. When I spoke a little earlier, I mentioned that the chancellor, although I agree, he has not put out any official statement, he has had many meetings with his staff. The staff includes all of us here that are Peralta employees. And I can tell you, he is not at all satisfied with what is happening, okay? What the next step is, I'm not gonna speak for him, but I will say that this is not something that is satisfactory.
So where are papers going? Like why do I have to go back 5
Sometimes too, what happens, and I don't know if this is true in your case, sometimes you'll submit a document, it may not be clear, or maybe there's a discrepancy. One item may say one thing and another says something else, and then once again, you've got to come back in, you've got to show this, you've got to show that. So even once your documents are all received, doesn't mean that then, therefore, you are ready for packaging. It says, we have all your documents, now they're going to be reviewed.
That didn't
Okay.
answer the question. Where is the document? Not what's happening
That's
that
fine, I
given
got
the
it.
description. Where
The
are the
other,
papers
the
that
other
were
piece
given?
of the information is the files,
Let her answer.
the files are in the office. But what happens sometimes, and I've seen this in a lot of cases, is students turn in a document on, let's say, Monday. They come back on Wednesday, they come back on Friday, okay? Our specialists already have a caseload, so once you turn in the document has to get received, and it gets put back in that same file. And in the system, it isn't logged satisfied until we actually review it. So it might show that you still need it, but you do need to give our office some time. Our office is under a lot of pressure and stress, and so just as the students are. So we are trying to accommodate every student as much as possible. But if you do submit a document, one thing that I would recommend is that give us a week or two so that we can have some time to log it in the system so that we can review it.
Okay, just one moment, there's a question before you.
I've got maybe 3 comments and a question. One comment is that I heard somebody said they have a disability. I went through the financial aid before, it's been success. I went through the process, it was success. I understand that the change of software, is screwed it up a little bit. But here with my disabilities, I spend more time with financial aid than in my classrooms. In my classrooms, my teachers want pop quiz, they're giving assignments, everything pertaining to passing class. I don't pass my class. But, and there is no place that I have seen for disabled learning disabilities to be helped. For me, there's no place that I can sit down. There's no place in the first floor, no one can help. And I want to know what you guys are doing. The second thing is that 3 people, and I'm also one of them that have given out the information the financial aid asked for, and 3, 4 times, again, they repeated they don't have the information. And I'm spending